हेलो नमस्कार आदाब सत श्री अकाल कसा काय केड़ो हाल आहे केम छो. Once again, I'm here, your loving host Abha Jadhav for your most loving talk show on YouTube, Spotlight with Abha in collaboration with Radio Brainrise. Friends, as a child, everyone has got opportunity to hear bedtime stories from their grandparents, especially grandma. Once upon a time, there was a princess in huge kingdom who was very beautiful, very pretty. But she used to remain sad all the time. Hey, stop. I'm not going to tell any story over here. But I have today an international storyteller with me who is experienced, engaging, and lively speaker and performer from UK. Is Tony Cranston. Welcome, Tony, to my show.
Thank you for having me. Namaste. Just thank you for having me. It's nice to be on the program.
Here, I want to welcome you on behalf of all my Indian people with a warm namaste.
Namaste, Abha, and all your nice listeners. Hi.
Friends, I have a brief introduction of Tony Cranston. Tony Cranston is a drama therapy magazine editor teaching mind-body health systems for over 40 years across the UK, Europe, USA and China to all ages and abilities from children to adults, teacher training to corporate. He is teaching yoga, Tai-Chi Alexander technique for 43 years. His expertise within these is relaxation and meditation. And the best thing is, we haven't had any failure to teach someone to relax first time. Tony have authored 10 story and activity books, published over 800 articles for UK and international press and magazines. Next year, he has planned to visit and tell stories in South Korea and USA. But he is planning to visit India, Rishikesh, Bangalore, and elsewhere. Collect and tell stories, do some interview for talking stories, and of course, visit and stay in an ashram or two. He wishes to teach Alexander technique and learn some breathing techniques, filming it all. Tony is a radio host for Talking Stories on East London Radio, the UK's only radio program dedicated to the art of storytelling and oral stories. Oh my God. Tony, you have such a marvelous journey as a professional. Many congratulations for that. But every journey begins from some point. So tell me, what was the spark that took you to storytelling?
Oh, storytelling. I think now I know I was born to be a storyteller. But in the late 80s, early 90s, I was a magazine editor. And I was surrounded by people who were musicians, artists, painters, Indian classical dancers, all kinds of people. They were a something, and I was a nothing. But being the editor-in-chief of that magazine, I could get to interview whoever I liked. So I could take all the top celebrities I wanted and go and interview them. But there was one person I wanted to see, and that was a fellow called Robin Williamson. He is now the honorary chief of the Bards and the biggest storyteller in our country, by far. He was already famous. He played in a folk group called the Incredible String Band, and he played at Woodstock Pop Festival way back in the 1960s, late 60s. So he's quite famous with all of those stars too. But now he was a storyteller, and I wanted to go and meet him to interview him for the magazine. And after a 3-hour show he did of stories and a little bit of music, playing a harp most of the time and quoting these stories like this, you could hear a pin drop in the whole audience in the theatre, and it was packed. But afterwards we sat in the front row, and he told me that when he tells a story, it is his story. But then if I go off to tell it, maybe with an addition, or maybe with something that I've missed out, or with a different tone of voice, or maybe I've got something backwards, forwards, then it now becomes my story. But it's only my story until I've told it to someone else, and then they go off and make it their story. And I thought, that's it. I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't play the guitar, but I can tell a story. And that was it. That was the spark that made me the story. He is responsible. And I've become a storyteller, and I've traveled the world telling stories from China, collecting them from children and revolutionary veterans and Tai-Chi masters, and even Shaolin Temple. I went to the Shaolin Temple to do some Kung Fu and learn some stories from Master Fu there. And I've traveled the world telling stories. And everywhere, if you are on holiday, and if you are, say, a radio host or a writer, what do you do when you go on holiday? You will meet another radio host or another writer, and they will tell you all about it, don't they? So that's what I do. I go around the world and I meet storytellers, and they can't help but tell me a story, and I can't help but write it down and collect it. And that's what I've been doing since about 1993.
Oh God. Wow.
One day I'll get a proper job, as my dad would say.
So how long as a storyteller, traveling the world, collecting, writing and telling stories, China to USA?
Yes, I've been, my first visit to China was in 1993.
Okay.
When I was working at the Children's Palace in Beijing. I mean, for educationalists listening, teachers, the Children's Palace is the best place on this earth for teachers to go to and learn what they do. They can take 3-year-olds to 19-year-olds, put them in the same class. They're in the class based on their level of knowledge of what they know. So they might be learning French, they might be learning music, they might be learning to act, they might be learning to dance, all of these things. And I would go there and teach in the English class.
Great. So actually, this is the new concept of education coming up in most of the countries now. Those who have already developed, they are actually have set an example in front of those who are still developing. Right? It is like the base is they should be teaching on the basis of their capacity and not just putting the curriculum into the mind of children. That is what I feel. As you said, that all class students are sitting together and they are learning as per their interest levels.
And the children are so good to the effect that a 19-year-old could sit at the same desk with an 8-year-old and not think anything of it and just think, oh, how are you learning today? What have you learned today? And they can learn from each other, and they do. They do.
Yes.
Yep.
So this was the part we were talking about the storytellers. But how did you come to radio and talking stories, and how they help the brain?
Oh, years ago, about 5 years ago, I was deep in a forest on Halloween night. We had nearly 2,000 people come through the forest to listen to spooky stories. But one person came with me with a business card and said, do you know we have a radio station in East London? About a year later, I looked up that card and called them, and they brought me in to do an interview. And I was being interviewed on a program called Stepping Up to Good Health. And it was all about yoga and Tai Chi and relaxation and things. And I was wearing a storytelling t-shirt, so they asked me about that. And the producer of the program and the owner of the station said, would you like to do a program for us on storytelling? And naturally, I just said, yes. Worried about it later, but I just said yes. And that was it. That was it. I started with the program, and I know a lot of storytellers around the world, so it was quite easy. But it seems half of our audience is in India. It's good. We have a good, if you cross all the programs, and the repeat shows and the podcasts and the downloaders, we have on an average 42,000 listeners. And a good deal of those, half of them at least, are from India. So we like that.
Yeah. So when you talk about, you're talking about India, recently, during Diwali time, you have been a part of International Stories Fest Kathastu, organized by Sharon Matthews.
The wonderful Sharon.
Yes.
Yes.
I was part of the same session when you were telling a story over there, and that actually brought me curiosity to interview you.
Oh.
So how was your experience? How was your experience of Kathastu?
Oh, I loved it actually. Maybe in front of a camera, I'm not the most natural. I'm not an actor or anything, but take me off the camera, then I'm a really good actor. But I don't know, I'm getting used to it. And that experience was just, it was perfect because Sharon is such natural and she was very welcoming and very relaxed. She's been on the radio program with me before too. So it was a swap around. And everyone on that show was very, very nice and very relaxed. And I think that's how we come to Zoom. If you're going to treat it like television or something in a movie camera, then maybe that might help to freeze you up. But when you know it's not, and I'm just looking at your face now, and I know it's just like talking in front of you, really, and being sitting across a table.
Yes.
And that's much more relaxed. It's much more relaxed.
Yes,
that's
I like 100% true. Yes. So I'm just taking a little diversion because in your profile, I read about Tai-Chi Alexander technique. So can you please give a brief about this technique? What is it all about?
Alexander technique was Frederick Matthias Alexander, who's Tasmanian-born Australian. When he was about 8, he moved to Melbourne in Australia, and he developed this technique he was an actor and he kept losing his voice when he was acting. He was a Shakespearean actor and he would do things like, to be or not to be. And you can imagine in early 1900s in Australia, people going, go away, you Sheila, go away, get up. And he thought, what's he doing wrong with himself? He went to the doctor and the doctor said, they gave him all kinds of potions, but they didn't work for long. So he said, I must be doing something to myself. He realized talking, he was fine. It was just when he was acting that he lost his voice. But then when he noticed how he acted, he stood in front of the mirror and he did this, to be or not to be. And you can see it and I can see it and all your viewers can see it. He was pressing on his voice box. 3 hours every night. Matinees, year after year, training sessions, rehearsals, doing the same thing. He had a repetitive strain injury. So he went around like this, to be or not to be. And he had a bad neck and a bad shoulder and headaches. So he realized it's not this extreme or that extreme, it's something more natural in the middle. And that was where he started from. And he did all of these things natural in the middle, how to breathe, how to stand, how to sit, how to walk, even part of your thinking. And if you, for instance, if you walk over, stooped over, you will have breathing problems. You will also have issues about your mind and being bright and cheerful and things. You will always be looking down, you will feel down. Yoga and Tai Chi, all of those exercises will help open you up and give you a good posture and change your way of thinking. Alexander just said, straighten up, keep straightened up, think about it and see what happens. So he's doing the same thing from a different angle. It's like you have all the exercises of the world on one side of a coin and Alexander technique on the other side of the coin. It's extremely clever. It matches with yoga, it matches with all kinds of exercises. A lot of theatre people do it all the time. In fact, in Western theatres, we are taught Alexander technique. You can go to RADA and places like that, and we'll have Alexander technique teachers. I wanted to go to India. Now, I've been invited to Rishikesh and Bangalore to some ashrams, but even though I've been teaching yoga for 43 years, they are the expert, really. You know, they are the gurus, they are the yogis. The only thing I could do there is learn some of their breathing techniques, because they have much more than I do. I could do the pranayamas, and I could do, Virabhadrasana or something, Tadasana. I could do all kinds of yoga exercises, but I can't teach them that. The only thing I could teach them in return is Alexander technique. So I'm going to teach them Alexander technique and tell some stories while I'm there. They're involved with schools, so I'm going to tell some stories in schools. And if I go there at Christmas time, which is the best time for me to go, I think, then I'll be dressed as Santa Claus.
Wow.
But I've got a real beard now. Yay!
Yes, you will be real Santa Claus then.
Yeah, real Santa Claus for a change.
So on this note, how can I leave this opportunity to hear a story from you, Tony?
All right. Now, I have some nice stories. How long have I got for you to tell a story? How long have I got?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. Oh, maybe I could do 2 short stories.
Yes.
This one is very sad, though. Or is it? It's very beautiful. Very beautiful. A little girl had a porcelain rabbit. The rabbit fell in love with the girl. And the years rolled by, and the girl and the rabbit were always together until one day the girl dies. Hating himself now for not being able to do anything to help her, hating himself for not being able to stop her pain, he thought to himself, there are some moments you want to freeze forever. There's some things you never want to see, never want to hear. There are some moments you want to freeze forever, he thought. The moment she looked for him and held him close as the last thing she wanted to see before she left this world. Good story.
Very good story. I was totally, into that story. Totally wonderful.
I'll give you a story for the children.
Yes.
Okay, sorry for children. 3 brothers, okay? 2 older ones, 1 younger one. And the 2 oldest one would never play with their little brother. They would say, oh, go away. You're just too little. You're just a small child. How can our mother ever have anything to do with you? You're not our brother. Oh, you're so dumb. You're so stupid. And every day they made their little brother cry. Really kind of really upset. But one day, their mother said, mind you 3 brothers better play all together today or else. So they went down into the woods. And as they were crossing the stream, the little brother saw a stone shining in the water. He picked it up. And you know how you say things sometimes, well, you're thinking it, but then you sometimes say it out loud. Well, that's what happened with him. He said, I wonder if it's a magic stone. Now he was thinking that, but he said it out loud. And these 2 brothers came to him and said, don't be so stupid. How could it be a magic stone? And they took it off him and they rubbed it and they said, see? Nothing happened. See? But then, at the edge of the forest, came a silver mist and a silver light. And out came a silver lady with silver hair and a silver cloak. And she had a silver wand and she said, I'm going to give each one of you, brothers, a wish. What would you wish for? Well, the first brother was very greedy and he said, I wish for £1 million now. And just as he finished the words, she waved the wand and there was bags and bags of silver and gold and coins and money at his feet. £1 million worth. He couldn't believe his eyes. When she said to the second brother, and what would you like? And he said, well, Well, he was even more greedy. He said, I want £2 million at my feet now. So, within the words, he had £2 million in front of him. All of this money, all this gold, all of this silver. Couldn't believe his eyes, bags and bags of it. Then she said to the little brother, okay, then little brother, what would you like to have? And the other two jumped in and said, don't ask him anything. He's so stupid. He's dumb. He will waste his wish. Don't ask him anything. Give it to us. Give it to us. He's so dumb. He's so stupid. Go away. And this made him very upset and very cried. He said, I wish you two were dead. And the fairy looked at him, and he looked back at the fairy. She waved her wand, and the little boy went home all by himself with £3 million. Careful what you wish for.
That was really miraculous, Tony. That was really, really, really wonderful. I think all my viewers who are children over here, in fact, the adults were also, they have loved this story. Really.
Very easy to retell. Very easy to retell. Make it your story now. Make them your stories. You've heard them. Now they're your stories.
Yes. So then when they will, tell their stories to their children, they will add on something to their own.
Yes, that's the way of stories. That's the way. We call it the long tradition. And that's what it is. It goes on and on and on. And I know, and you know, that you hear a story and someone thinks it's English. But hold on a minute, that story I've heard in India before. So we don't know where it originally came from. But those stories are old and ancient. They've been teaching us all along. And stories are the best way of teaching anything to anyone, especially the important things. Stories work. When I teach you something, I might use bullet points on the wall behind me. That will only operate two parts of the brain, Wernicke and Broca area of the brain. But when you tell a story, every part of the brain lights up. And we've proved this over and over and over again. We've done tests and examinations with people. And if I tell a story about 3 boys and a stone and magic, it's different areas of my brain lighting up to tell that story. But you, the listener, have the same areas lighting up too. Stimulates the whole brain. And as Einstein said, a woman asked Professor Einstein, how can my child be intelligent like you? And he told her, if you want your child to be intelligent, read them fairy tales. She was surprised by this. She said, but he wants to be really intelligent, to be a scientist like you. He said, well, if you want your child to be really intelligent, read them more fairy tales. And he went on to explain that the areas light up from storytelling and stories and fairy tales are the same areas that light up when you're a professor and a genius like Professor Einstein. So if he said so, it's true. It's true.
Absolutely agree with you, Tony. Now, I really wish to keep listening to some more stories from you. But you know that we have a limited time for this talk show. But definitely, we'll be connected to hear more stories from you. So thank you very much, Tony, for giving your valuable time.
Abha, it's been absolutely pleasure to be on your show. I really like your program. Been watching it all now. Been watching all the programs. It's really, really good. You are a natural. You're really good at this. You're really good. Better than me.
Much,
really good.
But before we leave, I just have 2 informations to tell to my viewers. Friends, you can watch all the other episodes of this show by subscribing to my YouTube channel, Abha Jadhav, and don't forget to hit the bell button. For your information, this episode will be broadcasted on Radio Brainrhyme, which will be heard by the people of more than 20 countries. So for that, you have to download Radio Brainrhyme application from Google Play Store. So what are you waiting? Download just now, because soon this program is also going to be broadcasted on Radio Brain Eye. So, Tony, with this, we end this program. And friends, I'll promise you that I'll be coming with some more interesting international storytellers in this program, which is Spotlight with Abha. See you then next time. Bye bye. Take care.